Please welcome formers. We do. Hey, Sean, you're here, brother. I appreciate that. As I was saying, the host of Spicer and Company, former press secretary for President Trump, and, of course, a former special assistant to President Trump, Kelly Sadler, is here as well. Both of you, welcome. Sean, I'm glad you made it.
I'm glad to be here. It's good to be with Kelly. We worked together. It was great to be a colleague of hers, and now it's great to be on. She's been on Spicer and Company a bunch, but it's great to spend this night with her.
All right, so look, guys, this is a huge week coming up here. We've got to continue the trend moving forward. Kelly, what do you hope to see from the Republicans tonight, tomorrow night, moving through the week that's going to set us apart from the Democrats?
Well, you know, last week's convention was a dystopian view of America. All of our wrongs, none of our rights, a lot about personality, attacking President Trump, and very light on policy. And what you've seen from this president is he made promises in 2016 that he absolutely delivered on. And so I'm hoping to see a policy agenda laid out for the next 4 years, whether that be negotiating new trade deals. We already have energy independence. How do we keep that going? How do we come back from the coronavirus and reignite our economy? All of these are policy solutions that the president has. He's got proposals for them. And so I'm looking for a very uplifting, policy-heavy RNC convention this week.
Yeah, and policy lacking is what Democrats showcased last week. Sean, you know, it's interesting. That soundbite from Nancy Pelosi calling Republicans and the president domestic enemies. It really signals the stark difference between us and them, doesn't it?
It does. And it's funny to me, Grant, I know you talk about this a lot on your show, or have been for last week. Congratulations again.
Thank you, buddy.
The way the media covers it, when Nancy Pelosi says something like that, everyone kind of nods in agreement and goes, good point, Nancy, in the media. The reality is they talk about the president being dark and divisive. At the end of the day, the stuff that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these folks on the left do it is dark and divisive, what they say. Somehow that's very different than what the president says and how he does it, which I'm not really sure how that adds up. But I would agree with Kelly. I think that we have an opportunity this week to see a huge contrast with how the Democrats handled their convention. The president's going to have a lot more live events. You saw that today during the roll call where he was there in person. You could hear the applause. I asked Sarah Palin about this today, Grant, on my show. And it was fascinating because I said, what difference is it going to make having an audience there? And I thought to myself, it might make her feel, you know, she might say that it's great because people are applauding. She was telling me, Grant, that the lipstick that the difference between a pit bull and a hockey mom lipstick was a line that was ad-libbed because she was watching the audience and feeding off of them. And it was a sign that people were holding up saying hockey moms for Palin, you know, McCain-Palin. And I thought to myself, that shows you that energy that can occur this week with the Republicans versus what we saw last week and we were devoid of with the Democrats. So I agree with Kelly. Them showing a real contrast, both in terms of enthusiasm and policy, is going to be a big difference this week for the Republicans.
Yeah, and I think people being there shows that Republicans do not live in fear. We can be as cautious as we need to be with this Chinese virus in play in the United States, but we don't live in fear. You got Joe Biden now calling for a national mask mandate no matter where you are. Kelly, this is the kind of thing that Americans need to know that separates us apart. You can go to one that truly act like cowards, and I think gives Americans a very bad name, or you got leaders and people who are bold. That's the Republicans, Kelly.
Absolutely. I mean, you had Joe Biden just last night saying that if the scientists proposed another shutdown, he would absolutely shut this economy down again. Now, that would be devastating for hundreds of thousands of small businesses, which are the backbone of America and America's economy. Already, small businesses are worried about all of these regulations coming down on them from blue states, afraid to reopen, and it's stifling blue states' economy. And we see a huge contrast with the president, who not only listens to the scientists, he did so in shutting the economy down for 2 months, but also the economists. Now, these are two different lanes, and both impact the country. We have learned with coronavirus, the best way to prevent transmission is through washing your hands, socially distancing, wearing a mask. We got that. We can reopen safely. And so you're going to hear a lot more about this from the president, because the economic situation that's facing this country is dire, and we cannot afford to have Joe Biden in office who's going to threaten another national shutdown.
Yeah, can you imagine that? We're going to hear ideas, policies and plans to take America into the future. Some of the Democrats are not giving people out there. Kelly Sadler, I appreciate you. Sean Spicer, great job as always. I love seeing you on this program, and I love watching yours as well, buddy. We'll see you again soon. Both of you, busy week ahead. And folks,